roll call.
Okay. Commissioner Goldwire,
Yes?
Commissioner O'Keefe,
Present.
Commissioner Minor,
Here.
Commissioner Matlow,
Here.
Commissioner Richardson,
Here.
Commissioner Williams-Cox.
Here.
Quorum present.
If I could just remind everybody to speak into the microphone since I don't have one in front of me.
Okay. The agenda modifications?
No, ma'am, we do not have any at this
Okay. The public comments?
time. We didn't have anyone signed up for public comment.
No one signed up?
Thanks, Yubi.
Okay. Okay, we'll go to the consent agenda. Motion for an agenda.
Move consent.
Second.
And the motion has been made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? Okay. Okay. So we have the FDOT 25 joints. Number 7. Okay, so we'll have the roll call vote. Agenda items.
Yes, ma'am. Today, we're looking at the fiscal year 27 through 31 Transportation Improvement Program, and Mr. Burke has a brief presentation.
Good afternoon, members. As Mr. Slade just told you, this agenda item was related to the adoption or approval of the fiscal year 2027 to 2031 TIP. Quick background regarding this document. It is adopted and developed annually. What it does is actually reflect the projects within the 4-county CRTPA region that have received funding in the state work program. It also demonstrates that the transportation projects that are funded are fiscally feasible. And then it also reflects that the project priorities that you all adopted annually were included within this document and reflected as the state funded the projects within the state work program. Now, the projects within the TIP are actually listed by mode. There are 7 of those, from aviation, TSM, or transportation systems management projects. The TIP reflects a total of almost $490 million that have been programmed in the state work program. And then there you see the breakout of those amounts between federal, local, and state funding. One thing I wanted to point out is that almost 50% of the TIP funded projects are for resurfacing projects. So system maintenance of the transportation facilities in the 4-county area. That's a big portion of that. Wanted to point out also some highlighted projects in the TIP. First off, LL Wallace to Wakulla Springs Road, or State Road 6061, is actually fully funded with construction in fiscal year 28. Right-of-way is funded in fiscal year 27. That's a total of $17 million. The segment still in Leon County going south on Crawfordville Road has funding for right-of-way in fiscal year 27. And kind of bringing back the issue of resurfacing and the importance of that and the dedication of state funding towards that issue, you can see an example of some of the roadways within the 4-county area that actually have received resurfacing, from I-10 to Thomasville Road to US 27 within the CRTPA region. Additionally, within the TIP, wanted to point out again something else. We have Appendix B, and that provides a status of the projects within the region. So it's a pretty comprehensive list of the important projects within the region, where they're at, what their next phases are, and with regards to funding that we're seeking. And then finally, bringing it back to today, we are actually requesting that you adopt a resolution endorsing the TIP by roll call vote.
Vice Chair, you want to continue to lead us through this item since you started? You want to continue to lead us through this item since you started it?
Continue to lead.
Yeah, through the item since you started it.
Okay. So we are, do we need to, a motion to adopt the resolution?
So move.
Second?
Okay, then the resolution has been, made and second. Motion passed.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Madam Chair, this will actually be a roll call vote since we got our TIP required by statute.
Okay. Okay, so. Yolanda,
Commissioner
do a roll call
Goldwire?
vote. Here, yes.
Commissioner O'Keefe,
Yes.
Commissioner Maddox,
Yes.
Commissioner Minor,
Yes.
Commissioner Matlow,
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson,
Yes.
and Commissioner Williams Cox.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Let the record reflect that I, as Chair, voted in affirmative of the consent agenda. Anybody else missed the consent that would like to be shown as voting in favor of consent? All right. Move on to item number 8.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this will be our fiscal year 28 to 32 priority list, and Mr. Burke will take care of this.
Okay.
Is this
Hello?
an action item?
Yes, sir, it is.
Hello again. So much like the TIP, the project priority lists, or PPLs, are adopted annually. Unlike the TIP, these reflect projects or project phases for which funding has not been identified. So these are the priorities of this agency that we provide to FDOT as they move forward with development of their state draft work program this summer. Additionally, the project priority lists that you see associated with agenda item reflect the specific phases we're looking for, as well as how much funding we are seeking to actually implement that project in totality. The project priority lists that we are actually looking to adopt today are 7, and there you see from aviation to intelligent transportation systems, highways, regional trails, transit, bike, and ped. Wanted to point out some highlights with regards to a couple of the project priority lists. First off, roadways. These are the top 4 roadway project priority lists. They remain consistent with the last few years. Only change with regards to this is an update on some of the phases that have been funded. What you see there, number 1, Woodville Highway, we are seeking a total of $53 million to implement that project. Crawfordville Road within Wakulla County from Wakulla Aaron to East Ivan, we are seeking $100 million for both right-of-way and construction. Orange Avenue, you see there the segments and the phases for which we are seeking funding, which reflect a total of $169 million. And then finally, with regards to Crawford Road within Leon County, as I mentioned when we discussed the TIP, the first segment of that, L.L. Wallace to State Road 61, is actually fully funded. That is reflected on the PLs as such. And then that next phase, we are seeking $25 million for construction from the Wakulla County line north to L.L. Wallace. With regards to regional trails, this is the same ordering that we had in the last few years. Wanted to point out that number 1 is actually fully funded. That is the Wakulla Springs Trail from Wakulla Springs State Park to St. Mark's Trail, fully funded for construction in fiscal year 31. The US 90 East Trail within Leon County, design is funded in 3 phases in fiscal year 29. Tallahassee to Havana Trail, you all had an update on that at the May board meeting, specifically the Leon County portion. There are 2 portions of this trail, one within Gadsden, one within Leon County. There you see the phases for which we are next seeking funding for. And then finally, the US 90 West Trail feasibility study that is in Gadsden County. That is currently, as I mentioned, in a feasibility study. Under feasibility study, next phase for which we are seeking is a PD&E, which is a project development environment study funding for that. And we have some public meetings associated with actually this project later in the week.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Greg, just a quick question, just out of curiosity. For the Wakulla Springs Trail, got construction funded for fiscal year 31. What's the status on design for that right now? When do you expect that to be completed? You know?
I will let Jack update because he was the project manager for that project.
The design for that trail is 100% completed right now,
Got it.
and it's using Sun Trail funds.
Which explains why the funding is in 2031, which is just in
Yeah.
terms of the schedule for allocation, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Excellent. Quickly moving on, with regards to next steps for both the project priority lists and the TIP, subsequent to approval or adoption by you all, we will be providing these with regards to the project priority list to the FDOT District 3. Typically, we will meet with them. CRTPA staff goes over to Chipley, and we meet with them to discuss these priorities prior to their development of the state work program. With regards to the previous agenda item, the TIP, we will also provide that to FDOT subsequent to it being approved or adopted, which it has been, and then the governor will ultimately approve the final TIP subsequent to that. With regards to the project priority lists of today, and I will stop for a question. Sure.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Greg, a constituent had emailed me asking for information, just an explanation on the Star Metro item, the neighborhood circulators, mobility on demand, micromobility. Can you explain a little bit what those are? I got the question from one of the constituents, like, I could use some explanation of what those are too.
Certainly, I will send it over to Mr. Slay for.
In essence, kind of at the basic level, of a neighborhood circulator is a service that a smaller vehicle will access different neighborhoods. It may funnel passengers back to the main route, but typically, and this is probably not a good example, but I use like Southwood, for instance. If you had a main route, let's say on Capitol Circle, it could circulate within that route, pick folks up and take them out to the main line. That's basically, it's kind of in the name. Neighborhood circulator means that it rather than running on a fixed route, it drops into specific neighborhood areas if you have enough density.
That would have been my guess, but that makes sense. Mobility on demand, I understand. Micromobility, can you all explain a little bit about what that is?
That typically covers like your scooters, your bike share programs, and things like that. Unfortunately, Metra's not here today. She could probably give us a much better explanation on all this. I know Star Metro is working on the transit development plan as we speak. They've just kicked it off. We had a meeting with them, I guess, 3 weeks ago or so. It was kind of their initial stakeholders. So I would assume some of that will come out of that, could potentially come out of that transit development.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Madam Vice Chair.
Yes, I noticed that you have, you had Chattahoochee to Quincy, the trail, yeah, US 90 West.
Correct.
So, and I know Gretna is in between there.
Correct.
So I'm just wanting to know how much, just more details as to how it will affect us, Gretna, and see. I mean, is there something that you could give me, a paperwork that I can kind of get more information on how this is going to affect us?
Yeah, certainly, most definitely. We actually met with Antonio,
Mm-hmm.
the
Okay.
city manager, last summer when we were actually kicking off this project.
Right.
And you should, and like to confirm, did you receive? I sent out an email, I guess, last week. I believe every CRTPA board member was on it, as well as for Gadsden County, all the elected officials,
Okay.
with regards to your city. But yeah, this is the first. The feasibility study is looking to look, as its name implies, at the feasibility of constructing a multi-use trail along US 90. There will likely be areas where we, in the urban areas such as, for example, Quincy and Chattahoochee, will have to take it somewhat off of 90 because, as is often the case in urban areas, there's a lack of right-of-way to actually construct the trail. But subsequent to the feasibility study itself being presented to this agency, which is scheduled for, I believe, in September, we will then proceed forward with looking for the next phase of funding, which would also be SunTrails funding for this project, which would be a project development and environment study, or a PD&E, for that. But right now, this phase is really just the first phase and looking really at the potentiality of the project from a high level, and most importantly, getting input from the public and what they think about this and what their general concerns may be. And so that is a purpose of the meetings that we're holding Wednesday and Thursday, first off in Chattahoochee and then in Quincy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right. Recommended action up there by staff is to approve FY 2028, FY 2032 project priority list for the FDOT. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Commissioner O'Keefe, second by the Vice Chair. Any objection? Seeing none, short is passed unanimously. Next item. DOT report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The department's got two upcoming projects we'd like to bring to the board's attention today. First is actually a project in Franklin County, but it does connect to the existing multi-use path along US 98 in Wakulla County. This is, again, along US 98 from Alligator Drive up to Surf Road in Wakulla County. This is funded through our SunTrails program. We are wrapping up the design and anticipate having a public meeting on August 20th at the Panacea Community Center. This project is funded for construction. It's scheduled to let July of 2028, and it currently has a construction estimate of $5.5 million. This would be a multi-use path ranging from 10 feet to 12 feet, and it would be added to the existing bridge structure along that corridor. Second project is the widening project Mr. Burke spoke to earlier, Crawfordville Road from LL Wallace to the State Road 61 intersection. We are wrapping up the design on that as well. We anticipate having a public meeting on September 17th at the Woodville Community Center. This is to provide the plans and drawings related to the widening of this project. This one is also scheduled for construction with an anticipated letting date of January 2028, and it has a $14 million construction estimate. With that, that concludes the department's update.
Questions? Commissioner Minor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Paul, thanks very much for the update. I had an email sent to me from a constituent, Mary Kay Faulconer, who's actually sitting behind you over there, very avid bicyclist and very engaged in a lot of the multimodal transportation projects that we have. She sent me some questions that she had about the Thomasville Road resurfacing. Would you mind if I sent those to you? Could you help us kind of answer those questions? She's got some really good observations, and as she sent those questions, I was like, those are good questions I could use answers for too. So I'll send those out to you. If you'd be willing to help us with responding to those, that'd be great.
I'd be glad to.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions? Yes.
Commissioner, microphone. I'm sorry. At the last meeting, I inquired about the sidewalk improvements along South Adams and Orange. Were you able to find out who was making those improvements?
Both of those are a state road. I did not find a specific project for those, but they would be under the administration of the department.
Okay, all right. I'm not arguing with the improvement. But I was just curious to know, because I know we hadn't discussed them here. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 10, Executive Director Report.
Chairman, just a couple of items. Probably between now and your next meeting, we'll be doing a couple of solicitations, one for the West Tennessee safety study that was funded through the SS4A program. As usual, we always have one board member on the selection committee. So get a volunteer, sit on that selection committee.
Anybody want to?
I nominate Commissioner O'Keefe.
All right, is there a second?
That was a good volunteer.
All right, I'll second that. Any objection? You're the man.
And the second one is another solicitation that we probably around that same time frame. This will be for our general planning consultant contracts. They expire in February. So we'd like to go ahead and get that process started. Another volunteer for that as well.
Volunteers.
I nominate Commissioner Matlow.
Any objection? I'll second that. Seeing none, you're the man.
The only other thing I had, just a reminder, and Greg mentioned this a couple of times, we have two meetings this week, public meetings. The first one is in Chattahoochee Wednesday night at the City Hall for the West 90 Trail Study, and then the other one is on Thursday in Quincy at the County Commission Chambers. Chair, that concludes my.
Questions for Executive Director? All right, seeing none. CRTPA information, future board meetings. Our next meeting is on September 28, 2026, and CRTPA committee actions. I think that's in the agenda packet for you to look through. Anything from members? Anything from members? All right, seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.